like
Sorry.
cutting edge. It's all right.
Uh,
Very cutting
sorry.
edge.
Phil's talking about his gallbladder, so you should all know.
The president is gagging on my gas bladder. What an honor.
It's like a ball of cholesterol.
Yeah, it's like a ball of like accumulated cholesterol, I believe.
Oh man, that sounds delicious.
Gallstones are actually stones made out of cholesterol. Usually, the most common group that becomes symptomatic are younger women during their most fertile years.
What I was saying was, I had my gallbladder removed in 2017, and I looked it up. And in 1917, there were like two hospitals in the world that could handle a gallbladder surgery, one like in New York and one in London. And even back then, it was like groundbreaking research. I mean, it was almost uncharted frontier stuff. So your chance of getting through that was not going to be good. But when I had my gallbladder removed, they just they did it was a small cut and they just put in a little camera and some robot arms and like extracted it. I was hopping around like the next day. It was crazy.
Wow, did you
So
have gallstones?
yeah, yeah, I had a
Oh,
gallstone. It was really bad. I woke up in the middle of the night like sweating and it was really painful. And I went to the ER thinking something was wrong and something was wrong.
wow. So, if not for modern
Yeah,
hospitals, you'd
I
be
would have been
dead.
dead.
You see,
Yeah.
that's a disturbing thought because as much as the modern day hospitals are trying to kill us, and I don't think they're even doing it consciously, they're just killing us by protocol because they have to follow the protocol that kills us. They still, I think, on net save more lives than they claim, though in terms of life years, I'm not sure. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Um, it's getting worse, but still, we were talking about that because somebody in my family just had a very minor procedure and it actually went very well. And though I can't stand hospitals and they really don't know, the doctors really do not know what they're talking about when they try to opine about health. They really don't. They know the body parts and they know the machines that they need to use to get around and cut the right things off and do it more minimally invasive than ever, and it keeps getting better. So that we are moving forward on that front, and that's comforting because all I think about with hospitals is just negative, especially since COVID. It's just negative, negative, negative fear and loathing. But there are things that they're actually good at, and you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, hopefully after the end game, the negative will go away, and we'll have much more. The competition between local hospitals will do much better.
Yeah, the way I do it is if you just reframe what hospital doctors are, and instead of making you healthy when you're sick, which they don't do, they they are they're biomedical engineers. If there's some kind of path that's blocked or needs to be rerouted or some kind of thing like that, in the hardware, they know how to do that. They know anatomy and they know how to put it back together. You know, that they can do, and I would trust them with that. Anything else, forget it.
Yeah. Well, I just turned 44 2 days ago, so I'll probably need the medical services pretty soon.
So how many multiples of 11 you got left? One, two, three, four, four, maybe five. Oh, do you have another gallbladder? Is it all your
I know
gallbladders gone?
they did not put a new one in there when they took the old one out.
Take, I've got four of them.
How can you live without a gallbladder? Did you know that gallbladders, that if you have gallstones, a good natural remedy, though I'm not a doctor and this is all BS, so don't sue me for it, is radish juice.
Really?
Yeah, it eats through gallstone material. I think is it calcium or is it something else?
I thought it was cholesterol.
It's like a ball of cholesterol.
Yeah, it's like a ball of like accumulated cholesterol, I believe.
Oh man, that sounds delicious.
Gallstones are actually stones made out of cholesterol, usually. In a way, they're kind of really just large crystals of bile. The most common group that becomes symptomatic are younger women during their most fertile years.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sure your
Yeah.
viewers want to hear about our gallstones.
Okay. Yeah. So we have topics for this week, and Phil sent them to me, and they are one, the importance of keeping a cash reserve for this deflationary portion, and by cash reserve we mean dollars, and it's actually very important because if the deflation does happen, it's going to be severe, it's going to be extreme, and you're going to need something to pad your emotions. Related to the first topic, why gold and silver sell off first as the most liquid commodities. And three, all scams prey upon a vulnerability of the victim of the scam. In the case of the dollar, it was pride. And we'll have Phil expand on those and I will respond. But the first thing we're going to talk about is actually what happened on Friday because it looked pretty crunchy to me. Though these things have happened before, it could reverse tomorrow and just go back up. We don't know. But it looked pretty severe. So, Phil, do you think that the end of the world is nigh and do you have enough hot sauce to deal with it?
Uh, hot sauce?
The hardcore pornographic sauce. But
That's
I don't think
good.
that's what they meant by it.
I'm a big hot sauce fan, so I'll have to look into them. And I do have a lot of hot sauces for the end. I actually literally did stack up extra hot sauces for the end game.
Okay.
So the question is the end game nigh? Quite possibly. Things are
No, I
getting
mean
really,
the crunch, I mean.
yeah. The crunch is does look like it's getting very nigh. Like this could be it. But like we don't know because we don't know how much is sloshing around. Now you found where the extra liquid. I was like, how is everything going vertical right now? And you found the extra liquidity. They basically got rid of all the banking regulations they put in after '08, so that huge banks like Wells Fargo could get extra liquidity out there and people could jack up, borrow money from Wells Fargo to like jack up into the stock market. So
Yeah.
that's where it was coming from. However, because of the law of exponential growth, they now have to find exponentially more dollars to put into this to keep this thing going. And
Yeah.
eventually people are just going to abandon it and rush everything into consumer goods, which they're already starting to do now. But the question is, so I got emailed from several viewers who've emailed me saying, Phil, I've been stacking for a while, but bad things have happened to me and my liquidity is drying up. Should I sell my metals now to pay the liquidity? To come up with the dollars I need to satisfy my debt obligations? I would say absolutely not to the extent you can avoid it. And so we're not allowed to give advice. That would be illegal. But I will
Hmm.
say what I would do, and if I was myself right now, so I have a very large cash reserve because I knew this was coming. And I warned people. I said, make sure you keep a large cash reserve for the deflationary aspects of it. You don't just zero out your accounts going into silver thinking silver's going to go to 300, 400, $500 because it will go there. But as you can see right now, silver's at what, 62, 63?
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
silver
something like
is it
that.
62, 63? Maybe it's 68, 69. It's under 70 right now. So you
Let
don't
me
want to be
check.
caught in the deflationary crunch. You don't want to be caught with your pants down, having to sell your metals at a localized low rather than at a very high level, right? So
68, 68.
68.
And this Chateau LeBlanc 68 is supposed to be served slightly chilled. This ain't room temperature. What do you think we are? Animals?
Okay, so silver's right now at 68, right? And it was at 75. So people, the stackers right now are hurting along with the Bitcoin bros, right? We're hurting almost just as much. If you put all your money into silver at 120 and you put all your money into Bitcoin at 125, we're about equally as bad off. You have to hold faith that the silver is going to rebound and Bitcoin is not going to rebound. And it's not necessarily a matter of faith. It's just a matter of logical understanding of the situation. We'll be okay. Anyway, some advice for some people that I've been trying to think of. If you are worried that you need liquidity, if you're sitting there like emailing me, not if you're a normal person or not if you've already stacked a bunch of dollars. If you haven't stacked dollars for the deflationary crunch and you need dollars and you're sitting there, what can I do? I would immediately begin stacking some dollars. I would even stop stacking metals because you need to make sure you have enough dollars for the big crunch when it hits. So I would stop contributing. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say you. So I would stop contributing to my 401k. I would stop contributing to any other employment stuff to maximize my paycheck, and I would cut back on expenses as much as possible to make sure that my paycheck was getting because prices are going up really, really fast right now. So I would make sure that cut all the extra expenses that you possibly can to make sure you lost your camera again, to make sure that your
Ah,
expenses are as big as possible. Oh, sorry, not your expenses. Your income is as large as possible, minus the expenses of the ever increasing food supplies or food prices. so that you can get through weather this inflationary storm and have cash left over for the deflationary crunch. And I'm sorry, that came off as a little bit word salady there. If you are in a dire strait, like let's say people are starting to like lose their jobs right now because of the deflationary crunch, the beginnings of it. If you are finding yourself in a situation of underemployment or unemployment, and you still have stacks, but you don't want to liquidate them, and I would advise not to liquidate right now. You got to hold those stacks through, and this is the hard part because we're about to, as we will discuss in the next segment, gold and silver are the most liquid commodities on earth. So they are the easiest things to sell for quick cash. So it's really hard to sit there in a deflationary crunch and not sell the easiest thing in the world to sell to get quick cash. But if you want to maximize your gains through the end game, you have to get through that deflationary crunch part and not sell your stacks at this time.
Okay, so I want to show you a chart and then I want to comment
Okay.
on what you said. So here, I'm going to share this. This is going to shock you. You're going to be shocked. This is the chart of Bitcoin to silver. How many ounces of silver it takes to buy one Bitcoin. Now
All
look at
right.
these candles. Look at these delicious candles. So this is January, the week of February 2nd, right? So that includes the silver high at 120,
Yeah.
right? Where so it's not the pop-up isn't showing here. I don't know why. It's, I mean, probably with the screen share, but it's below 1,000, between 1,000 and about 905, right? That's where this candle is, the open and
Okay.
close. And look where we are now. It's the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So silver has almost been cut in half. Not quite, but maybe cut by 60%. So even though silver has gone from about 120 to about 68, we said? Yeah,
Yeah.
68.
68.
It's about the same relative to Bitcoin
Yep. And
since the top, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, we're
Bitcoin
not
isn't
doing any
in.
worse than anybody else. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and so what I wanted to add about the whole getting dollars or make sure you have enough dollars is that one of the pitfalls that we fall into, especially gold and silver bugs, is that we turn this into a pseudo religion. Not that any of us worship gold and silver, God forbid, but we think it's like sort of like sacrilegious to hedge our bets because we need to be purists or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. This is not, there's no sins here. Um, this is a game of practical outcomes, right? And we understand things that other people don't understand, but we don't have to be religious about it. So, in my personal story, if I didn't have enough dollars in 2020, I would have been shoved out of the game. And I don't think Endgame Investor would have ever started because I would have just been, I would have forced me onto a different track of life. I don't even know where I'd be. Um, because as my portfolio was getting smashed, right? If I had been a total purist and said I'm not going to have any dollars, I'm just going to fully leverage my account, then I would have had margin calls, I would have been forced liquidated, I wouldn't have had any savings, and I would have lost all confidence in myself and my ability and my monetary theories and all this stuff. And I don't think I would have been able to recover emotionally. So we have to understand that something bad is going to happen that's going to force most of the world to run to dollars using anything they have to get them. Not because they believe in dollars, not because they think that it should be the reserve currency again. As Keith Weiner puts it, it's not like everybody suddenly becomes a dollar bull. They need it because they need to keep their accounts alive. And the margin caller is telling them, I need dollars or I'm going to force sell your positions and you're going to have nothing. So they have no choice. Uh,
Right.
so that's the game we're playing. If you don't realize that reality and you turn this into some kind of halacha, some kind of religious law, then you're probably going to lose. So you don't have to have that much. You have to have enough so that if you just imagine the worst thing that could happen to gold and silver in 2 weeks. Let's say The worst thing I could imagine is silver goes down 70% and gold gets cut in half, right? I
Yeah.
could that's pretty extreme, but but if it happens, I wouldn't be like, whoa, I was never thought that's the worst that I could think of. So I would need to calculate how many dollars do I need to get out of that alive? And that's how much I need.
So for the people that are, as I was trying to, there are people who are right now they have stacks, but they don't have the dollars. They thought they underestimated how many dollars they think they would need. So I've had several people email me, and so I just some ideas to quickly get some sort of an income boost on what your existing salary is would be to now you're going to pay for this later if the end game doesn't hit. You're gonna have to pay all this later, but I would reduce your tax withholding. I would consider reducing my tax withholdings to nothing. Just get your entire paycheck in, just to make sure you can get. And like I said before, don't contribute to the 401k. That's a scam anyway. All that kind of stuff. Just try to maximize with whatever your income is. Get as many dollars in, and if you find yourself short of dollars, then don't stack any more silver until your dollar levels are at a level where you're comfortable. I have, the dollar, I have enough dollars that I could get quite a bit more silver and I don't. And it bothers me every single day because I'm like, oh, I could turn that into silver. But I know like I could lose my job tomorrow. They could call me tomorrow and say, hey, economy's bad, we have to lay you off. I want to
Haven't
make
you
sure I have
already
a
been
cushion.
replaced by AI, Phil? Didn't
Yeah,
you?
you've already, no, not really. AI doesn't
No.
do what people think it does. So I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not worried about that at all.
Oh, okay.
Um, So I could weather several months of total unemployment if I needed to. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But it is annoying sitting there being like, man, I could have so much more silver. Like I just especially now, as silver's dipping, I'm like, oh, I could buy more. But no, but don't. So, you know, this is just generalized advice. Make sure you have cash reserves enough to weather a storm. Get to where you're comfortable with it. If you absolutely must sell the gold or gold and silver, if you absolutely you're just in a situation where like there, the repo man is gonna toss you out of your house, sell the gold
Mm.
first, keep the silver because the silver is going to outperform gold on the upside. It'll be more volatile, so you'll have to exercise timing better. But I would if I absolutely had to sell some stacks right now, I would sell the gold first and not the silver. But like I said, I would once again, especially if you have to explain it to your wife's going to sit there like, what? We have all this gold and silver. Why do I have to sell my car? Right? And
Right.
you're like, no, babe, you don't understand. I'll get you a much better car on the other side. We have to stack the gold and silver right now. Do whatever you can to keep your stacks. If you absolutely must get rid of your stacks, I would get rid of the gold first.
That actually was a pivotal point in my own marriage because at that point in 2015 actually when gold was like a 1044 at the low. I remember that like cuz we were married, we had a decent amount of savings from wedding gifts and stuff that we had saved as teenagers from babysitting money and all that other stuff that accumulated through years and years and years. It's a big chunk. And then I put most of it in gold and silver mining stocks. And in 2015, they were doing pretty badly. And I had lost maybe like 80% of our savings. And so like my wife was looking at me, was like, she wasn't like yelling at me or anything because she loves me and I love her, but like she was concerned. She's like Rafi, are you sure you know what you're doing? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then like very soon after it started going up again. And then it was a long slog, but now
Yeah,
here we are now and like I was right. But I go back to that thought and I second guess myself a lot. People think I don't because I'm very confident and I am confident, but the second guessing always happens. So it's always there. It's like that little devil on your shoulder. No matter how good of a person you are, you're always tempted by other women or whatever it is, by the dessert you shouldn't be having. It's all the same thing. We're all human beings, right? But
yeah.
it's always there. But it gets softer and softer, and it's just background noise now. I'm sure I'm right in the big picture of things, though I could be off on
Yeah, no,
timing.
I'm certain as well. The logical foundation is true. Like there's no way we're not right.
Yeah.
So I'm
That,
not
but
worried.
that,
Unless we
but
fundamentally don't understand what money is. Like,
yeah,
like money was a point system this whole time in ancient Egypt and in ancient Rome and through the Middle Ages. they were using gold and silver when they didn't have to. Like they could have just used some tokens. We're wrong. They were wrong. We were wrong.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only way.
So our next topic here is related to the first topic, why gold and silver sell off first as the most liquid commodities. It's disturbing emotionally when you see silver go down 10% in a day or gold go down 5, 6% in a day. I think I've seen a few times. And they're like, why are people selling gold? Isn't it obvious that that people need gold because inflation is getting worse? Yeah, that's true, but in the immediate sense of things, you need liquidity to pay your bills now, right? And as much
Yeah.
as we don't want to admit it, or we don't like saying it, right now, dollars are more liquid than gold. So you need to use the second most liquid thing, which is gold, to buy the most liquid thing, which is dollars. That's just how it is right now.
Yeah, if you have debt obligate, if you're a company and you've got AI stocks that are tanking right now, and you have debts to pay because you're going to make payroll, and you got a little bit of gold on your balance sheet, that's the first thing that's going to go. And so that's why. So gold and silver sell off first, but they don't sell off hardest. That's the way I'm trying to explain it to people. But yeah, when you're dealing, normies gonna normie, Rafi. So when they say, "Oh, how's that gold doing, Phil? How's the gold and silver doing? Oh, it doesn't seem to be doing so well in this crash." So they're gonna do it until these people are gonna be wailing and gnashing teeth on the other side of this.
Oh man, I got to tell you. So again, I just got back from the hospital, minor procedure for a family member. Everything's fine. Um, and and the trying to explain what I did for a living because bedside manner. He's asking us what we do for a living. So I try to explain what I do, and I explain why gold and silver are money and the shekel isn't. He's like, "What do you mean? Of course the shekel's money. Aren't you paying me in shekels?" And I'm like, face palm, and he starts laughing at me. That's what you do for a living? He's laughing at me. Like this is like a surgeon. He's high up there on the economic food chain. I'm like, you know, normally this should like bash my ego that somebody up high is like laughing at my profession. And I'm like, I'm looking at him and laughing at me, and I'm like laughing back at him, like, you have no idea, man. So we're just there
Yeah,
like laughing at each other. And it's like you don't it's okay. Like you're not hitting my you think you're hitting my ego now, but you're really not. You just look like a
yeah,
fool. But okay, but I trust you with the procedure. Go do
yeah,
your thing that you were trained to do, and then get the next patient, do the same thing to that one, and that's it. It's fine.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. The day-to-day transactions do not defy any of the laws of economics, of Austrian school economic. Like I'm not sitting there like, oh geez, am I wrong? Did the law or the is Rothbard wrong? Is the demand for silver not, the monetary demand for silver not there? No, it's there. It's just right now we got to go through the dollar crunch, and the dollar, like you said, the dollar liquidity is more important.
I think the way I put it with Ivan in my last stint on Wall Street Bullion, I think it's called now, whatever
Yeah.
he calls his channel now. So he asked me the CBDC question, like what happens if they just ignore gold and silver and go for a CBDC? So I'm like, Ivan, that's the same question as asking me basically like, okay, well, let's imagine you walk to the top of the Burj Khalifa or some tall building or something, and then you walked off, and then gravity suddenly ceased to exist. Like, what would happen? So I said, well, I mean, if that's the question, you'd float and everything would be fine. But is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. You're going to fall.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the answer is that's not going to happen. The other idea that I just got in my head, I'll throw it off you, and I don't know if you'll be able to volley, but how about this? Dollar is more liquid. Gold is the next most liquid. Perhaps the minute that gold becomes more liquid, meaning the bid ask spreads, gold becomes more of a liquid commodity than the dollar itself. That is gold backwardation. That is the end game. That is the end of the dollar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
probably.
Yeah, and what is the
Though I
mechanism
don't
that
know. Is it?
what's
It's not liquidity. It's not like the dollar becomes less liquid because nobody.
well, it's impossible to define it that way because the
Yeah.
liquidity of gold is defined by the bid-ask spreads as measured by dollars, right?
Right. Right. Right.
That's the
So
liquidity of it. So
it's
so
not
it's
that the
hard.
dollar became less liquid. It's just that the dollar law. There's no more debt in a hyperinflation. There's no more debt obligations. So like nobody wants the dollar anymore. But
Okay,
yeah.
so I guess that's the better way of putting it, because we're
Yeah.
we're, de we're dealing with it with definitions that fold in on themselves here and create the monetary black hole that we're all trying to
Yeah. It
predict,
is an
avoid,
Ouroboros.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? So the the liquidity. Okay, I had this idea in my head. Okay. So the mechanisms of how this would go down is that, yeah, if debt obligations just cease to exist either by the Fed buying all the debt, right? Let's say if the Fed bought all debt of everything in the entire planet right now,
Might happen.
then nobody has any debt obligations, then nobody needs any dollars, and the bid for the dollar would go to the floor, right? It would go to
Right.
zero. But the
Exactly.
the the other way that it could happen is that you start having a deflationary crash, and then you got margin call by margin call by margin call domino, and the Fed does nothing, and then everybody defaults on their debt obligations, and then nobody has any debt obligations after that anyway. And then the dollar falls to the floor through that path. It's the deflationary or hyperinflationary path, but it's all the same because it all leads to gold in the end.
Yeah. Exactly right. Now, I will say if for it won't happen, they will print, but like if they didn't, the dollar would just be so valuable during that deflationary panic. If they actually didn't print, that'd be kind of wild.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they'll print. I'm not worried about it.
Unless somebody takes out the Mariner Eccles building. I'm not predicting that. I'm not suggesting that that be done. But
Yeah.
who knows
Oh,
what
just
kind
in
of
the so just in the
pitchfork models could
chaos.
happen.
Yeah, just in the chaos of it.
I think there's enough conscious people that in the depths of the next deflationary panic, you could have a mob descending on the Mariner Eccles building and try to break the barriers. That's happening in Israel right now with the Haredi ultra Orthodox and the military prisons. Like they're taking people into prison for not going to the army, and these people are like invading the prisons, and they even trashed Supreme Court Justice's house last week. It's pretty impressive.
Wow. Things
Yeah.
are getting wild.
No, wow. It's not like murder. Like, Jews don't protest against other Jews with like knives and guns. They don't shoot each other. They just like smack each other in the face and spit at each other. Yeah, that kind of
Okay.
thing. No one's gonna kill anybody. I don't think. We
Yeah,
did that
certainly hope
out.
not.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Final
So
topic.
final topic is all scams prey upon a vulnerability of the victim of the scam. In the case of the dollar, it was pride. What do you mean?
Sure. So when I was in college, about 25 years ago, when I was in college, I was actually in the market for some speakers. I was like, I think it was for my grandfather. I was going to buy him some speakers. And just randomly on the street, this guy rolls up and he's like, "Hey, would you like to buy some speaker? I have some extra speakers I was delivering over there, and my boss gave me two. He put too many speakers in the van. I got these extra ones. Would you like to buy them?" And it was only because I just happened to be in the market for speakers. I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll take a look. What do you got there? And next thing I know, like he did a whole song and dance. Next thing I know, I bought speakers for like $500, and they were like Temu garbage speakers. But you
Oh
don't
my
know until
God.
you get home and plug them in. I just got it was totally scammed. And the worst thing is it's totally legal because he did sell me actual speakers. They do you plug them
Mm.
in and they work. They're just they probably cost him $10.
How old were you at the time?
20, maybe 20, 21,
Oh, this is
like
like
that.
25. This is a quarter century ago.
Yeah, yeah, this was 25 years ago. Easy.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
and
So
it just it
Timu didn't exist back then. It wasn't Timu.
no, 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 but you could still buy crap from China and like package it in a box. And it was just he just did a whole song and dance. I can't even explain how I fell for it. Like it's one of those things because everyone considers themselves, "Oh, I'm not going to fall for a scam. I'm smart." Like I'm a pretty smart guy. I know what money is.
Yeah.
But still, I still just, I let my guard down for a second. And then I was analyzing it later and I can't remember somebody said all scammers try to bring you, they make you feel like you're in on the scam. So I realized like he said he had extra stuff from his work, right? He had extra speakers that his boss had accidentally put in the van. If I was a totally honest man, I should have said, no, take those speakers back to your boss. Those are his speakers, not yours, right? So he
Right.
said, oh, I have these extra speakers. You want to buy basically hot speakers off of me. So
Right.
he brought me in. Oh, you and I are scamming my boss over, but really he was just scamming me. So that's how all these scams always work the same way. And the Federal Reserve really is no different. What did they say? They said, "Oh, we don't, America's so powerful and so great, we don't need gold anymore, right? We can use, the national output of our country, the product, we're going to tie it to the national production of our country." Now, I've talked to family, I've tried to explain the gold, what's going on to family members. And these people, they're very conservative. They love America, but they do not see this crash. They do not see this problem, right? They don't understand that the dollar is not money. And they've just wrote back to me, oh, Phil, the dollar is based on the economic might of America. That's why everyone wants it, right? So
That's a circular argument. I've gone through
I,
that so many times in an in-game investor. It's a totally circular argument. It's not, it doesn't even make sense when you break it down in terms of symbolic logic. Like what made the economic might? The economic might was the division of labor. What made the division of labor? A liquid commodity makes the division of labor because otherwise you can't divide labor. And then once you have a big commodity, then you can loop it in on itself to eat itself through basing it on itself. That's like Terminator, time travel logic, and it ends in AI conquering the universe, which is where we are now anyway. So I guess maybe it's right.
Yeah, so that's the because the family member I'm thinking of is a boomer. Like he was a young man in the military in 1971 when the republic fell. Like that was the time, if you didn't want the republic to fall, that was probably the time to stand up and say no. But they just got completely seduced by, the razzmatazz, the razzle dazzle song and dance that the Federal Reserve put on everybody. So it's the same scam over and over again. They just play on it just plays on every scam will play on a different emotion or a different vice that someone has, and this one just happened to be pride in the nation.
Yeah, but that's how all empires fall. It's how everybody falls. It's
Pride cometh before the fall. If scams always prey on a vice, and vices always exists, then scams are always going to exist. Like these we're always going to be going through these loops of dishonest money, crash, reform with honest money, have the money debased,
yeah.
crash.
Yeah, that's one thing that they don't teach us in high school, but then when you put together some of the information that you were taught into a more coherent story, in science they tell you like, oh, they used to do bloodletting, they used to do this. They thought that they didn't know that you had to wash your hands before you put your hands in another body because it would cause infection, and the whole Semmelweis story. And he was sent to a mental institution. He committed suicide because they wouldn't take him seriously. They only understood he was right after he killed himself. They don't tell you that part of the story. But like all these crazy things, these crazy ideas that these people had in the Middle Ages or earlier, and now we have science, so we don't do crazy things anymore. We have the scientific method. But like then you look into everything that we're doing, and it's completely effing retarded. Like everything we're doing is just nuts. It's just an outgrowth of the same insanities that we've had for hundreds of years before we even had a scientific method. And we're going to look back at this time and think, well, those people, they were morons. So what did they do? They passed around paper tickets or digital representations of paper tickets that didn't even exist, and they thought that was money. They could just make more of them and they'd be rich. Like, how stupid were these people? And how dumb were they for like injecting these chemical like the now it's like GLP-1s, like, okay, let's inject a chemical into our bodies that makes us think we're always full so we never eat and then we starve ourselves to death, we look like zombies. That should be a good idea. What the hell is wrong with everybody?
Well, we're in a Ponzi scheme, and Ponzi's feel great when you're in them. That people
Yeah.
think like, oh, I'll notice a Ponzi scheme. Like, no, you may not. Like I mean, how great does it feel? How great did it feel like when you had your money with Mr. Madoff, with Bernie Madoff, and like no matter what, you're getting 11% returns year after year. I mean, that's awesome. You're sitting there, oh God, I got so much money. The only problem is when you try and pull it out, you try to actually spend the money that you have. So Ponzi's feel great when you're in them, and that's how people get suckered into them. This time is no different.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine in 1982 or 1983, like the prosperity, the the fake prosperity caused, by the buzz, but just like, if you watch the movies like what is it, American Psycho, he was showing like what it was like in the 80s, just everyone just binging on this false prosperity that was generated by the fake money. So, like I said, feels great.
In the 80s. I got that feeling a lot from the movie The Big Short, and those especially that
Yeah.
scene in the casino with the seafood that they're eating and the benihana or whatever they're chopping the seafood
Hibachi,
on
yeah.
the yeah, okay. That was very well filmed. Just the crazy luxury of it all and the cluelessness of everything going on. It's like it's not God punishing everybody. It's just God set up a system of this is how things are going to work. And if you go this way, this is what's going to happen.
So let me ask you this, but we'll wind down now. Michael Oliver's calling for $300 to $500 silver by end of summer. You think we could hit that?
I don't know. I have a feeling not because I always want to be conservative.
Yeah, I do.
But I have a feeling that when it happens, it's going to surprise even me.
Yeah.
And you know how you look back, like how you look back and your kid is grown up and you're like, it went so fast, but it went so slow. So that's good. Whenever this hits, it's gonna be the same emotion. Like it came so fast. I wasn't expecting to be so fast, but then again, we've waited maybe 20 years for it or however long it's gonna be. I still hold hard and fast to my theory that there's just going to be one more banking crisis, not two. The only question is when does that hit? And once that hits, then I think we're weeks to months out.
I think the fact that they had to reduce the Wells Fargo's the banking regulations, the extra liquidity you found, that makes me think something's going on.
Mhm. Well,
Like they had to
they
get
didn't have to. I think they planned it. They planned it in advance, and those rules actually. I don't know exactly what the rules were, but they went out the window on April 1st, 2026, and that is exactly when the AI bubble started to just go vertical,
Yeah, but
and
if
also
they
South
hadn't done
Korea.
that, then Wells Fargo couldn't have gotten the loans out fast enough, and then they would have run into a banking crisis. So they did it because they're running into a wall.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So one question for you, as the husband of a South Korean woman, um, what do you have any inside information as to what is going on in South Korea? Why is the
I mean,
stock market going so nuts?
it's two companies. It's Samsung and some random chip company that just that's it. It's two companies that are
That's
just
it.
going completely vertical. It's a breath of two. It's
Maybe
those two
maybe
companies
we maybe we can short them.
like, yeah, you might want to consider that, to be honest. But you never know. I mean, you never know how long the party can last.
No.
But yeah, those two, every other company is either going down or sideways, and those two are just going absolutely vertical, and
But
that's lifting up the entire Kospi.
yeah, but before we sign off, I just want to show the South Korean chart here. It's just mind-boggling. That's South
Yep,
Korea. It's
that's looking
crazy.
pretty in-gamey.
It's really nuts.
Yeah, and when the wand blows, it's gonna really be gonna be grim.
So do you think the end game is going to happen before South Korea just dies from not having people in it?
Yes, yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the end game's like any day, any day. I always
Uh,
wonder, like every time we do a bitter in game draft, I'm like, is this going to be the last one? I don't know. We've talked about that before.
yeah.
What do you think? Is this going to be the last bitter in game draft? Do you think we get another one?
I don't know. I want to stop looking like an idiot and predicting.
Understood, understood. All right, man. Well, if
Okay.
if the world's intact, then I'll see you again next month.
Yeah. All right.